Yo, it's your boy Paul Longino. Welcome to Vibe Section. I'm not the host with the most, I'm the one that's a little wise. It's a family's equalizer. Welcome to Vibe Section. Let's vibe. Yo, in Vibe Section, this is where we have grown-up conversations, about grown-up situations. We don't hold no punches, and we don't be hating. We educating. So today we're going to talk about discipline of the black children. And not just the discipline of the black children, but the mindset of where it all started from, originated from. Now, if you're between 70 and 30, we might give you 25. Now, you used to whoopings. You didn't have your butt whooped. We had belts, switches. They was right there. They was right there. And unfortunately, we also had extension cords and other items that they use as tools to whoop us with. And not to bring it up the past and to bring back them bad memories for those that been through that concept, but you have to question the mentality of the mindset of what make you whoop a child to the extent as getting a switch or either an extension cord. But the question that remains to be asked and answered, were they wrong? Now, a lot of people might think the mentality from whoopings stems from, slavery. And it affects, but it goes back further than that because Egyptians, they had slaves too, so they was out of Africa. So we're not putting all the blame on the slave masters to say that this is the reason, but I will put the blame on them, say the mentality of keeping it going. I will put that on there because that's what they had used to keep black people in line or the slaves in line. And so this is what they were seeing. This is what they protected. And they say, okay, only way we can keep them in line is by whooping them. And so that's how it was passed down from generation to generation. So from 70 to 30, he had 40 years of this mentality being passed down to whoop you the way that you need to be whooped, or to an extreme, as what they would call today, an extreme. But you have to look at the reason for that. And a lot of them was looking at the mentality of that it was for the protection and preparation for society acceptance, because they wanted you as a black individual to act a certain way in society, amongst white people, to be projected a certain way. And so the discipline was there to make sure that you was in line. That's the mindset. So that mindset was passed down from generations, from grandma to aunties to uncles to mamas, that had this concept to say, okay, well, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna spank you, but it depends on what you did, is how bad the spanking is. The trouble you cause determine a belt, a switch, or extension cord. So it all depends on what kind of trouble you got into. But so that's what their mentality was of trying to mold you to get you prepared to go in society, because they didn't want you to act up in society. They didn't want you to act. That's why they got you for being bad at school or clowning at the grocery store, because they didn't want you to act like this way in society. So it's their mentality, and it was passed down to some of us today. I say within the last 40 years, between 70 and 30. I give 25. I give you 20. If you're 25, I give it to you. You might have got an ass whooping to an extreme. But 20, no, it's over. So between 70, so I'm going to keep it at 70 and 30. Between 70 and 30, you got extreme ass whooping is what they would call extreme. Because of the mentality, the reason why they gave it to you is to keep you in line and keep you in check and get you ready for society. Now, you say, well, how old should a baby be to get disciplined? If you're looking in that scale, when you think about age, how old a child should be when you decide to discipline them. If you decide to discipline, how old? So you're looking between the ages of 3 and 5. Do they warrant a belt, a switch, or an extension cord? Between the ages of 7 and 10, let's ask that same question. Do they still warrant, let's say, a switch, a piece of wood, some wood, however you want to look at it, or in some extreme cases, an extension cord? Do that behavior warrant that at that particular age? So what is the proper age to discipline your child? If you decide to discipline your child, what is the proper age? Research says between 3 and 5, they have an understanding enough for what timeout is. You can tell them to put them in timeout. Between 7 and 10, they say that's where the spankings come in, because you got to get a little control. You gotta set boundaries. You gotta set it. You gotta get it set. And between 11 and 12 is the punishments, where you're taking away the TV, the phones, the privileges. So that's what society states as form of discipline. But do the black families agree with that? Now, in most families, we're going to be honest, this is grown session. This is vibe session where we have grown folks conversations. So we're going to shoot out there and say 80 to 90% of the black families that's being raised is the discipliner is coming from the mom, because that's who's there. And the child is left to be disciplined by a single parent under the single parent rules of discipline, if they believe in discipline. If they believe in discipline. Some parents do not believe in discipline, so therefore there's no discipline being established to the child. But for those that is 80 to 90% of it has been established by the mom. And like I was saying earlier, between 30 and 70, moms was the one that whooped our butts. Dad was there in them houses that was lucky to have 2 parents. And if you say between dad and mom, who should have the discipline power, most of us chose to be disciplined by mom, because it was a woman over dad. But in some cases, dad was the best friend, so he was the mediator. But 80 to 90% of the families in the black community that's raising children that's being disciplined is by the moms, because the dads are not around. And you say your ages go from 3 to 5, 7 to 10, 11 to 12. And so that brings us to our teenagers. We got to address the elephant in the room. How do you discipline, as a black parent, a teenager? Or do you not discipline a teenager as a black parent? As black parents, we teach our boys, our sons, to be strong and to be leaders. And we teach our girls to be strong, but smart. So how would you handle this teenager who's into gangs, smoking, drinking, fighting, or boyfriends, smoking, drinking, running away. How you gonna handle this teenager? Let's address that, because a lot of us that's late 30s, early 40s, or in our 40s, we have teenage children. How are we handling these teenage children in this black community that's going through this particular era in their life? Some say we need to find a medium for conversation with with these teenagers. That's getting on their level. As Instagram and Twitter, finding that medium for conversation. Reach out to the village. I remember families having the grandma, big mama, Maria. That's who would raise us, because they had to reach out. The village reaching out. The village don't reach out no more. We have no more aunties or uncles that's helping us raise our teenage son or daughter that we can't control. Or should we not control them? That's a good question. So by not disciplining your teenager between 13 and 17, no discipline for fighting, smoking, drinking, having sex, running away, what's the outcome? And a lot of people don't like discipline. Now let's point this out, that it's households that disagree. You have a husband and a wife, or mom and dad, and they don't agree. They both don't agree with discipline. So you got one agree and one that disagree. How are we going to handle this in this black community? But I'm here to tell you this, that if you don't have some type of understanding, it will ruin the relationship between the mom and dad, or the husband and wife, in that black community that's having a disagreement with the discipline of the child. Because sooner or later, the child gonna know that dad is the punisher and mom is not. So he gonna use that, or she gonna use that against you. And so now you more lenient, or you more meaner, and you're both getting upset because the lenient or the meaner is coming out. So that's gonna lead to problems in your relationship, because there's a divide on the discipline. I would say that you need to know that those parents that's in that situation, those black parents is in a situation as one of them is like that agree with discipline and one do not agree with discipline, that have a child that has to have a future. I would say that know that your relationship of both parents is more important, or a higher priority, than the judgment of each of your parents' skills. Just keep that in mind. But it has to be handled. It has to be done. That brings us to step parents in the black community. How do step parents get involved and help with discipline? Or do step parents get involved and help with the discipline? I spoke with a couple of parents, step parents, and some of their answers was interesting on why they choose not to, or why they chose to get involved with discipline. Some of them said that they don't agree with discipline because they wasn't raised with disciplined parents, and their parents wasn't raised as disciplined, so their mentality wasn't trickled down. So therefore they don't believe in discipline either, so therefore they don't get involved because they don't believe in discipline. Another one was that they have issues with the real parent. The real parent don't agree with you disciplining their child. But at the same time, they're not disciplining their child either because they're not there. But so this child goes undisciplined. And the third was that some of them has never been parents. That's their parents are 4, like Brian out of Illinois, but he don't have any children of his own. So he say he don't get involved with the discipline because he never have been a parent. He don't have children of his own to have been in that situation and make a judgment. So his involvement is because he never have been in a situation to make that decision. But us as a black community, as black parents, whether you agree with discipline or not agree with discipline, we have to still recognize the future of our children. Now, let me tell you a parable. It was 2 lions released in the wild. Both of them was born of lion parents. One lion has no discipline. Everything he or she does is natural. Hunting, sleeping, eating, mating. The second lion was disciplined for hunting, sleeping, eating, and mating. Now, both these lions was let off to the wild. 5 years later, you come back to that same point where you let these 2 lions in the wild. Which lion do you expect to see? So my challenge to the black parents is to figure out which lion are you raising to let into the wild. Discipline of the children or not to discipline our children? That's the question for the black community. It's your boy Paul Longino. It's been Vibe Session for the day. Yay. And now we come to the part. But first of all, let me say happy birthday, Dr. Martin Luther King. I salute you. Appreciate everything you did for us as a black community and as a black man. Thank you and happy birthday. And we come to this part, so we're going to cheers up to Dr. Martin Luther King. So if you got a little drink, get your little drink. We got a little smoke, get your little smoke, because where I'm from is legal. Today we got some of this OG 18 coming out the canisters. And as always, we got the artist of the week. He go by the name of Trey Jones. That's Trey Jones. Jones, Jones, but the S is the $. Holla at him. It's Trey Jones on SoundCloud. This is artist of the week, and it's called Roadblocks.
Niggas telling me they get money, but we ain't never seen no knots. Everybody wanna know about it. Tell them that I got it on lock. Niggas wanna take my spot, but they ain't putting up no shots. Block higher than a stove top. We was pushing through the roadblocks. I've been married to this rap game. I ain't never been divorced type. I keep a chick that's the whore type. So rock bottle with the force light. Niggas telling me they rap better. They just only give me more hype. I build up just to make the kill, but hell no, this ain't Fortnite. I ain't never been to Fort Knox, but the studio a gold mine. Niggas said I wouldn't touch down, my whole team on a gold mine. I'm trying to take it back to 09, when I ain't never need a cosign. I put pressure on your windpipe, that air thick like a coal mine. They be calling me the top shotter, these niggas can't spit hotter. Bitches calling me
Live session.